Hello everyone, yes it's Alex, I'm back again with another review for you. And this one, bit of a long time coming this one. This is Xceed, Xceed Resin. They're a Chinese company who do unlicensed products, let's get that out of the way. I reviewed their SSJ Blue Vegeta versus Gold Freezer a while back, which is a fantastic piece. And this is their kamenriderblack versus Shadowmoon Diorama featuring Battle Hopper. I fell in love with this as soon as it came up for order. No one. Just a bit of background on my Kamen Rider love actually. I got into Kamen Rider quite late, probably in the last 10 years or so. I want to talk about Ultraman when I get my Prime 1 Ultraman statue. But Ultraman was always there when Godzilla wasn't there. Or Gamera. And Kamen Rider was kind of like a thing that I knew that had happened, and like Sentai, if you don't know what Sentai is, Super Sentai is basically what Power Rangers became, which is a Japanese show of a huge legacy, and you know, multiple series that have been shown in Japan constantly, and Kamen Rider have got that same sort of legacy. Basically, the basic story of Kamen Rider is it's a guy who gets modified to be a weapon for someone, and then rebels against their owner and ends up fighting all these different types of guys. It's so hard to point to words, but basically it's a grasshopper man fighting evil beasts, and they ride motorbikes. Kamen Rider actually means mass rider, so you always get like a main protagonist, usually a main antagonist, and you also get a cool bike. So we've had all Kamen Rider around through the 60s and 70s into the late 80s, and then it stopped, and then Kamen Rider kicked back in the 2000s with Kamen Rider Cougar. Like I say, I've only been watching for about the last 10 years. I found it quite daunting to get into it. You know, it's like entering Marvel. Where do you start? And I just found a series that I thought looked cool, found a character that I thought looked cool, and I started with Agato, which I think was a great choice. It's very much the root of Kamen Rider in my opinion, but with done modernly. You know, some of the old stuff is hard to watch now, but you know, it's got its charm. It's like Godzilla, but you know, Godzilla's only movies, where Kamen Rider's like 50 episodes. So Kamen Rider Black is actually from the late 80s, the last two series for that era, which was Kamen Rider Black and then Kamen Rider Black RX. Kamen Rider Black RX was actually used for the American show, which was Mass Rider, which was terrible. But I'd definitely recommend, if you want to go back and watch some older, cooler Kamen Rider Black is a great place to start. So that's me with Kamen Rider, and it's actually still running now, Kamen Rider, as it has been running since 2000 or 2001, since Cougar, and it's slowly turned into a children's children's program. You know, very much focusing on the toys and the gimmick. You know, so whereas in the old series you had a belt that did one or two things and maybe a couple of different forms, now you've got hundreds of forms and hundreds of different things that slot into the belt, which can all be bought and collected. And the belts are cool, don't get me wrong. I've had a few belts. I had the double belt and the Forze belts, and they're all fun and nice to collect, but it kind of has ruined the show, really. But if you do want a modern series that's running now, Kamen Rider Amazons is fantastic. It's very serious. If you don't know, Kamen Rider is very much like it's like a drama, like a drama actiony thing. It was a lot serious, and then it's become sillier over time. But Kamen Rider Amazons is very much a take on going back to its roots and, you know, more horror aspects, which I'd say the original stuff had, and it's totally lost over time. So when Xceed threw this thing up, which as you can see is rather fucking impressive and dynamic, I was ecstatic. It's a $400 piece. It's 1/6 scale, but obviously for your $400 you're getting two 1/6 statues in Shadowmoon up here and Kamen Rider Black here, and Battle Hopper, Kamen Rider Black's bike. So you're getting a lot of stuff with this huge diorama base, and all three pieces light up. So, you know, the huge heavy piece, this base part is actually separate from this, so this can actually move around, which I can't do now because it's too heavy, but this is actually separate, so you can move this bit around. And then going through the actual statue itself, this was like a puzzle to put together. You know, this isn't Sideshow or Prime 1 or XM or PCS we're talking about some, you know, producer in China knocking these out, which has no thingy on the quality. The quality is fantastic on it in parts, which we'll get to in a bit. But, you know, they do like to ship in a few pieces. So, let me see if I can remember how many pieces. We've got 1 here, which is this black base. 2, which is the rock formation with this bit where Shadowmoon's standing on. 3, which is this smoke effect. 4, that smoke effect. 5 is this explosion on the base. We got 6, Black's legs. 7, Black's torso. 8, 9, Black's arms. 10, this explosion here. 11, that explosion there. 12, Shadowmoon's sword. 13, Shadowmoon's arm. 14, Shadowmoon's legs. 15, Shadowmoon's torso. 16, Shadowmoon's other arm. 17, the back piece of Shadowmoon's leg. Was that 17? 18, Shadowmoon's the back of the leg. And then Battlehopper himself is in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. So we're talking around 23. Was up to 18? So 23, 24 parts. kamenriderblack goes in easy, and Shadowmoon goes on easy. They just slot in. This is the hard part, because this is kind of, it just leans. And then this part kind of holds it. So this sword is actually one piece that goes through. And then these two effects have got to be threaded on, and then the bite just sits there. And then if I can spin him round for you. Not quite, let's move forward a bit. This is a heavy statue. And the bike, as you can see here, just kind of leans. So it's leaning on here. And then he slots in here. And it's a pain in the fucking arse to put together. It really is. Now, what doesn't help is I received this broken. Mine is still broken now. What happens is there's a very thin piece of resin connecting here. You can see this white piece here just above my nail. That is actually the brake. That's actually supposed to be connected to this part of the bike. This is actually my second bike. I had a couple of broken pieces. All the back tyre had completely split away. And the Shadowmoon's little antennae here, which is also a separate piece. That puts us up for another piece. Also was broken, and I contacted Xceed, and I was like, I'm over the moon with the piece, you know, it's a fantastic thing, but it's broken. Oh, and both of these were broken off on Battlehopper as well. I was like, can I get a replacement bike? And can I get replacement antennae? Now, I know for a fact they haven't sold a load of these. They're still in stock. And we're talking over nearly a year ago that it came out. There's only 300 of them, but I think Kamen Rider is such a niche thing anyway. And to spend $400 on this, you know, you've got to be into statues as a general rule, and then into Kamen Rider as well, which I don't think a lot of people are. People like Kamen Rider, you know, they like the Medicom figures, the real action hero stuff, which I've also had, which are fantastic. But, you know, nothing feels like a statue or looks like a statue for me. So I reached out to Xceed. They said, oh, I'm sorry about that, we will get your parts. I received the statue in... When was it? It was about 3 months between me contacting them and getting the replacement parts. Then the replacement parts arrived. There was an old cigarette in the box for no reason. So everything kind of smelled smoke. Luckily, the antennae came through fine. The front piece of Battlehopper, these two antennas came through fine. But again, the back of the bike broke. I reached out to Xceed again. They were like, oh, sorry, can you fix it now? And I said, well, not really. It's a main component of the statue. It's a thin piece of resin, it's bearing a lot of weight. Is there anything you can do? We can't do anything else for you, which is very disappointing. But you're not talking about a huge thingy like Sideshow here again, so I'm kind of disappointed. And then, really, the biggest disappointment is that the light-ups have stopped working, which, again, this is what happens. I mean, even as good as Xceed is and the stuff they put out is, it's very professional and, you've got no guarantees. And the statue still looks incredible without the lights, but the light-ups were very cool. So Battle Hopper's eyes light up on here, headlights, Black's eyes lit up, and Shadowmoon's eyes light up. And now Shadowmoon is still working fine. I'm going to turn off the lights and show you. Now, Black, can we even see that? No. I'm going to take him off. That's what's happened to Black. So he's got one LED working in one eye, and it's flashing on and off, which of course it's not supposed to. Battle Hopper doesn't work at all, but Shadowmoon, that's how they all were at first, and it looked brilliant lit up. I would love for this to have been a proper, more solid pieces and having the electronics run through it, because it did look brilliant with the green coming from his eyes and then the red coming from Battle Hopper and kamenriderblack's eyes. Like I say, very disappointing, and the switches and stuff are very well hidden. You got the belt on Black, a belt on, and just like the fuel tank on Battle Hopper. So yeah, a statue of disappointment really, more than anything, because it's such a dynamic piece. I mean, look at it. I mean, look at the angle that Black's at. And this, the sword piercing the bike and the effects everywhere. It's like Sume have taken on Kamen Rider. It's so well done. Paints are immaculate on it. There's not really any bits out of line. It's got that anime look to it, which doesn't really suit Kamen Rider, but it suits the statue. All the, the lines like on Black's head and hands, and all the pinstriping is so spot on. The silvers used on Shadowmoon, slightly glossy and shiny, and the blacks very glossy. Battle Hopper all pinstriped, and good details on the wheels, the mud. And it's just, and if this came perfect to me and the light up features were still working, I wouldn't, I'd recommend it so much, and it would cost me a hell of a lot, because I put $100 deposit down, and then Brexit happened, and so I ended up paying another $300 for the rest of the statue, which at that point was like 250 quid, and then shipping on it, because it weighs an absolute ton. It weighs like, I don't know, 12, 15 kilo. Well, having shipped that shit from China, in this huge box, was like 140 quid. So I think it wound up costing me, and I think I had some custom charges on this as well, I think it wound up costing me about 450 quid, which for a custom, piece that isn't even, sold out, and isn't half of, 2/3 aren't working anymore, light ups aren't working. It was a blow. I'd say it was a blow. Now, I don't want to be completely down on it, because like I say, and I have just said, how fantastic a diorama it is, and how well the paints are, but it has kind of put me off buying anything else Xceed. I kind of wanted to be taken care of a bit more, and I'm gutted that the LEDs don't work. And they are putting LEDs into more and more things now. I've noticed that they have put power supplies in with some, but I guess in a piece like this they couldn't have really done it, because the the dynamic pose and all that. And light ups are fantastic when they work, but I know a lot of people hate them when they break. But with this being buttons, it doesn't really bother me that much. You know, it still looks fantastic on display, and when lit properly, it looks awesome. You know, this is a hell of a dynamic piece, hell of a huge piece. It's got to be. I know the top of Shadowmoon is about 17 inches. I'd say it's probably another 18 inches wide, and then probably about 12, 14, 15 inches deep. It will fit in a Besta cube if you rearrange it slightly, because like I say, you can move this top piece around on the black, so you can move this forward or move it back a bit just to get the angle right. But yeah, beautiful statue. I'm just, you know, it's like when you get something broken and you have so much trouble with it, it does put a, you know, you never quite recover from it. It's kind of like, well, yeah, you know, and so when you get something perfect, it's like, oh yeah, it's perfect straight away. But you know, they do taint the statue slightly when you get that break or you get that problem. Like I say, I don't think I'll be buying anything else Xceed. There's a couple of 1/4 Dragon Ball stuff that they've done, which looks fantastic. I'd love to pick up, but with rising shipping costs and just other, you know, Prime One are basically kicking my ass at the minute. There's just so much good stuff coming out from them. You know, they've released their recent WonderCon. You've got a lineup of Guyvers. We've got Kanekuman, Ultraman, and Gamera now. So I've got all my fingers and toes crossed that Prime want to say, hey, let's do some Kamen Rider, because I think they are the company to do it and do it really fucking well. You know, I'd love for them to do some modern stuff, but maybe a twist on the classics. What was the film called? Kamen Rider Next, when they updated the original Kamen Rider 1 and 2 designs, and Kamen Rider V. So I'd love to see them take that on. Prime One, you know, they are going, they're getting all my money at the moment. I think I've got 5 on order and another 5 looking to be ordered. You know, it's totally changed my collection. But if they got Kamen Rider and if they got Godzilla, they've already got Ultraman. So, you know, that'd be it for me. I'd be done. I would be done. But this piece will stay for now. It's, if anything else, it's a fantastic representation of Kamen Rider in general. It's a fantastic representation of a great series in Kamen Rider Black. It's just that, you know, I do want to concentrate on 1/4 scale more. Yeah, it's a really nice statue, despite the problems, you know. Like I say, paint, pose, and everything. It's perfection, really. It's just those little technical aspects that have let it down, really. But yeah, if you're a Kamen Rider fan, and you know we are a bit desperate for statues, and you're a 1/6 fan, and you want a big chunky diorama, I'd definitely say check them out. You might be able to pick one up locally. There's, you know, Xceed stuff does knock around in Europe, so try that. Just try and save on that shipping if you can. But otherwise, you can always contact Xceed and see if they've got any in stock still. They have said they might make other stuff, but to be honest, I think they make their orders on Dragon Ball is so high, they just seem to concentrate on that at the moment. I know they're doing Naruto and One Piece and Sensei, but all that stuff doesn't, you know, hold a candle to what they're doing with Dragon Ball, and I think Kamen Rider will probably be lost you know, get lost compared to all those sort of you know, leading anime licenses. But hopefully Prime One, come on boys over at Prime One, give me some Kamen Rider, baby. Give me a big Kamen Rider on some dead bodies or something, you know, do what you do. But there you go, guys. That's my Xceed Kamen Rider 1/6 diorama. A beautiful piece despite some problems. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.